Welcome back to our 89th episode of the Launch Your Farm Show, where I interview Stephen Green with Park Regency in San Fernando Valley, California. In this episode, Stephen and I talk about why he chose his farm area and how he's stuck with it ever since, and you'll be shocked by what drove his decision. Stephen also shares how he stays relevant year after year in his farm by door knocking and how he stands out from the competition. And we also talk about what he does that brings in deals year after year after year, and it's actually quite simple. Steve also shares a super easy way to book appointments while out door knocking, and we talk about how many pairs of shoes he goes through each year with all the walking he does. Plus, we talk about a ton of other ideas you can use to grow your geographic farm. So be sure to check out this episode, like and subscribe, and enjoy the episode with Stephen. Welcome back to another episode of the Launch Your Farm Show. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and today we've got a great guest. It's Stephen Green. Stephen is an agent with Park Regency in San Fernando Valley in California. So Stephen, take a second, tell us a bit about yourself and why you're here.
Sure. I'm here because you reached out to me from a Facebook post. I think somebody asked for people to talk about their successes in door knocking.
Yep.
And I read the post, and 90% of them were no successes.
Yeah.
And I am, for the sake of a better explanation, a door knocking fool. I enjoy door knocking, crazy as that might sound. And I've sold a lot of homes in my farm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and that's why I want to have you on, because I think it's something that a lot of agents overlook or think, like you said, don't have the success with it, or they've tried it. They generally have the wrong approach. They're not sure how to do it, or they don't stick with it long enough. So I want to dive into your successes, but I want to start with how you got in the business and how long you've been in this, because that's kind of important, because you've been around for a while. And so Tell us kind of a bit about your beginning and how long you've been in the business.
Well, my real estate story is interesting, because my father owned 3 real estate offices when I was growing up. And when I was about 10 years old, I used to deliver his door knockers.
Oh, nice.
I got paid $5 for a farm area.
Nice.
And I'd walk up and down the street and put his door knockers on. And I used to run behind a stake bed truck and deliver pumpkins for him, around Halloween. And so my father was a farmer.
That's awesome.
And an office owner. And at 18, I got my license. And wow. I went to work at a coal banker office. And it may have been called Forrest Olson back then. And it just wasn't for me. I wasn't good at it. So I got out of the business, and I went and got into the clothing business, the garment business. And I repped a junior sportswear line. Nice. And the owner basically cheated me, never paid me a dime.
Oh, wow.
Now, 6 months, I worked for him for 6 months, never paid me a dime. But I felt, the clothing business was one where you either had a book of business or you didn't.
Wow.
If you didn't have a book of business, nobody wanted you.
Yeah.
So I figured no matter what, this was to build a book of business. And I happened to be at a funeral. And a buddy of mine knew I had my real estate license, and said, "Hey, don't you have your license?" This was 1986. Got my license in 1982. And I said, "Yeah, I got my license." He says, "Oh, you should come work for our company. We're making money hand over fist," and blah, blah, blah. And it was a rainy day. Funeral was over. I went home, got out the newspaper at the time, because this was pre-computer.
Yeah. Pre-cell phone, pre-everything.
Yeah. Well, there's cell phones we had.
Pre-smartphone.
Yes. Oh,
there you go.
Yeah. Well, I started out, we used microfiche to find properties. So
Yeah.
I got the classified ads, and I found a company, a real estate company. I went and interviewed that day.
Wow.
And they hired me. Okay. Because, real estate, my father used to refer to as a warm body business. You hire everybody, and then
yeah.
certain number of them are going to work out. So this is a funny story, because it has an ending. So I took this job with Park Regency, and I said, "Okay, great. I'm going to start this thing on Monday." This was a Friday. So later on that afternoon, my buddy called me. His name was Mark Steves. And he says, "Hey, did you go talk to," he worked at another company called Pinnacle. "You go talk to Scott Green over at Pinnacle?" I said, "No, I took a job over at Park Regency. I said, are you kidding me? You don't want to be there? Go talk to Scott. I'm like, okay. So I called and went over and I talked to Scott that afternoon. And Scott painted this big picture for me. I said, wow, this is great. I'm going to work for you. So I said, okay, Greg. I called Park Regency. I said, I'm not working for you. I'm going to go work at Pinnacle. So Saturday morning, I had an appointment to meet with Scott at, no, and I'm using his name, so that might not be good. There's an end to this story. And so I went and interviewed with him. Excuse me, I made an appointment at 9 o'clock on Saturday. He stood me up. I waited 2 hours for him. He said, no, I got busy and come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
I went back Sunday. He stood me up again.
Wow.
And so I left and I went and called Park Regency. I said, hey, is there any way I can still come over there? And they said, sure, it's warm body business.
Yep.
So to wrap this story down, Scott now is at Park Regency.
Oh, nice.
He's involved with management.
Yeah.
And I've told this story at meetings before, so he's heard it. But if enough people hear this video, somebody may know him, and that's why he's a great guy. He's a great guy, but he actually got me to Park Regency by standing me up twice.
That's a good, it worked in your favor.
Yeah. So that's how I got to Park Regency. And my father always told me, you list for longevity. If you want to be in this business long-term, you must be a listing agent. Buyer's agents, in this market, you can have one buyer and write 40 offers and never get a deal.
Yeah.
And you'd be a listing agent and I can sell a house from the Caribbean. So I learned to be a listing agent and I came into the office. I had a bachelor's degree. I went to Pepperdine University. I have a business degree. And I came here and I've been around real estate my whole life. And the broker, who's now one of my best friends, his name is Joe Alexander, and we're almost like family. I actually consider him probably as much my father as my own father.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to do everything you tell me to do, period. I'm not going to try to think I'm smarter than you. And he put me together with a mentor, an agent, whose name is Ed Koenig. And Ed turned out, he was in 1994, Ed was the best man at my wedding.
Oh, nice.
And I went with Ed, and Ed never made it to college. I'm not sure if he made it out of high school, but he's a hell of a successful real estate agent. And I just followed him. I said, I'm going to do whatever you do, whatever you say to do.
Yeah.
Go buy this, pass out these iced tea pitchers, pass out these jar openers, pass up. I did whatever they said. And it worked. And I've been here since 1986.
That's awesome. And it's in your blood and in your history, which is awesome to see that pass on. Because a lot of people, I would say, when they get in this business, it's usually a secondary thing. Most people don't get into it at a young age. Most people don't start out wanting to be that. So it's cool to see that you did that, had that kind of adjustment and jump back in. But I want to talk about the farming because obviously that's what a big part of what we're doing. And I want to talk about the door knocking specifically because I think you and I talked prior and we were talking about how you said it's a dying art. And a lot of people have pushed away door knocking out of fear. I find that people do it out of not knowing what to do. They're not sure how to do it. They do it the wrong way. So how did you get started with the door knocking and why door knocking?
Well, our office is predominant. I shouldn't say predominantly. We're a very strong listing office.
Okay.
So I was just thrown into list homes, and I knew about door knocking because I had done it for my father. And they basically said, go find an area.
Yeah.
So it's funny how I picked my area. They said, pick an area that has a good turnover and pick an area that, my father always told me you want bread and butter homes.
Yeah.
Meaning I don't sell the multi-million. I do sell multi-million dollar homes, but not as my base business.
Yep.
My base business in LA right now is probably 800 to $1 million. But when I started selling them, they're 80, 90,000. But they're homes that people buy every day.
Yeah.
And people sell them, they have 3 bedrooms and 1 3/4 baths, and they're 1,400 square feet. And when they have 2 kids, it's time to move to a bigger house.
Yep.
So there's enough turnover.
Yep.
So I picked an area, and this, and I tell this to people when I teach farming to other agents in the office. I picked my area, my initial area, because the streets were straight.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
That's good.
Seriously. The streets were straight, and I thought, well, straight streets are going to be easy to knock.
Yeah.
And they had a decent turnover. There was one agent that was doing, the bulk of the business in the area. And I said, okay, I'll take care of him.
Yeah.
And I remember I started knocking. I probably started with about 1,200 homes maybe. And I would make 3 passes a month.
Wow.
I'd go through there 3 full times a month. And I went by so much that people were saying, how come you're not doing any business? How come you're not? So I'd have to learn to lie, and say, oh, I'm doing business. I'm selling houses over there and over there and over there. And I remember it was about 10 months. And 10 months, I got almost nothing. And I want to say it was like a March or an April, because I think I started in May of 86. I listed 15 houses in the 10th month.
Wow.
And it's never turned off since then. And I remember when I took over my competition, and we're still friends. If we talk, he has no idea about this story. He will never remember it.
Yeah.
But I was out knocking, and there was a flyer on the front porch. And back then, flyers were just Xerox copies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a picture of a great white shark on the flyer. And on the top, it said, and I still remember this, I wish I kept the flyer. And it said, do you want to swim with the sharks? Which was me.
Yeah.
Or do you want to work with a guy like me? And I said, I knew at that moment, I said, you're done. I got you. You're my, so I took it over, and he's long gone. He's still in the business, but he's not in that in the farm area. And, I've done everything from jar opener years ago when it was economically possible to do jar openers and pot holders and fly swatters and, iced tea pitchers and all that stuff. Now I just do just listed, just solds, but I've put in the groundwork. Yeah. People in the area know me. They know my kids. I put my kids on my flyers when they're babies, and people when I'm out knocking now, sometimes we talk about real estate, and sometimes we want to know, how is your son doing? How's your daughter doing? Yeah. So it's become personal, and, some are relationships, some are door slams. It is what it is.
So you've been farming the same area then since that whole time?
Yes, the same area the whole time. And I've grown it, it's grown from probably 1,200 homes to now it's 3,600 homes.
That's a good size. And that's something I think it's important for agents to know, that you went from a smaller size to grow into it. Because the mistake that I see a lot of agents make, I would say most agents who fail, it's because they went too big and they don't have the budget. They don't have the time. They don't have the resources. And then one of the things I talk about is it's better to scale up than scale back, because so many agents go in there and then they think, wow, I'd rather have a bigger piece of this big pie. And like you did, it's own those 1,200 homes. And once you've owned that, once you crush it, then you can scale up. So what did it look like for you then to move into that next level from the 1,200? How long did it take, and what were you doing to decide to make it move up?
I don't remember how long it took, but I just kept going. My areas are blocked, and I don't know how your areas. We don't really have in my area subdivisions. Okay. So up there you might have subdivisions. Yep. And somebody could specialize in a subdivision. Yep. Here we don't really have down in here. And where I live in Ventura County, we have subdivisions. Okay. In the Santa Clarita Valley, which is adjoining 15 minutes away, they have subdivisions. But in the Central Valley, homes were built in the 50s, 60s. They're not really subdivisions. Okay. So I divide them up by streets. Yep. So Sherman Way to Van Owen, Corbin to Winnetka, hypothetically. And then, an expansion might be Winnetka to Van Owen to Victory, Corbin to Winnetka. So I just kept moving down and moving over. And the blocks are probably between 600 and 800 homes. Okay. Then I probably have 7 odd blocks now, blocks of these areas.
That's awesome.
And I just, as I went, I kept just moving. And I've done that. I've taken on a couple of areas that I've given up. Yeah. I worked them and I worked them and got a few deals, but not many. I said, you know what? I don't like this area. Yeah. So, I've just, I've had more than 3,600. and I've scaled it back down to this is where what I like.
Yeah, which is good, and it's manageable, and you know it, and you know you can do it,
and they know
and
me.
achieve what you want. Yeah,
and they know me because especially after the pandemic and that, and just with LA's got we've got a heck of a homeless problem, and people are a little scared. And I love my son got, because he tried real estate before he moved up to Arizona and got a job in banking, would go out with me. He'd just get a kick out of, older lady would answer would look in the window, say, I don't answer the door for people I don't know. And I'll be like, hey, Mary, it's Stephen Green. Oh, Stephen. So it's like that, and then some people don't do that. Some people, I don't know you. It's like, yeah, you know me. Yeah, there's no way you don't know me. Yeah. It doesn't mean you don't like me. But, but don't tell me you don't know me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it's important because you've been doing it for so long. You get that, you still get rejection. You still get people saying no. You still get people opening the door to know you. What are you doing then consistently to stay in touch with people? Because I find a lot of agents struggle with the door knocking because they don't know what to say the next time they see them. They worry, like, if I keep going back, I'm going to annoy them. They're not going to want to talk to me. So what is it that you're doing that often?
What I do is absolutely so simple. And I've had this discussion I've told you with, even Mike Ferry.
Yep.
And I don't ask people to buy or sell at the door. I don't ever ask you, I don't say, hey, Ryan, I think it's Stephen Green, Park Regency. Have you thought of buying or selling real estate in the next 7 days or the next, year or whatever? I don't say that.
Yeah.
And, I've been criticized by a lot of people saying, oh, you got to ask for the business. Well, sure, when the time's right.
Yeah.
But you just hit it on the nose. To me, there's nothing worse than going to the door and saying, hey, Ryan, man, I know you. I know you sell real estate, and I've seen you sell a bunch of houses in the area. When I'm ready, I'll call you. But man, there's just no need for you to come back again. I know your number. I've got your calendar on the fridge.
Yeah.
To me, that would be like, oh no, that's bad.
Yeah.
So I just make it, and I know, like Mike, we've had this conversation. It's like, we're not here to build a relationship. We're here to sell houses. And door knocking to me is about building a relationship.
100%.
It's a belly to belly relationship building experience. And, it's, and I look at it as hunting.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm, when I get to the door, it's just, hey, Ryan, Stephen Green, Park Regency, just dropping off some real estate information, dropping off a flyer. Some people then want to ask me a question. Some people want to ask me how my kids are. Some people want to tell me they don't need the flyer. Some people want to tell me they don't like me. Some people, are just like, thank you very much, and close the door, and I hand it through a little crack in the door. So I don't really ask because I don't want to ever be told not to come back.
Right.
So what I'm looking for, since I'm in the neighborhood every day, I was in my farm today. I'm looking for who's working on their house. Somebody painting, planting, doing what construction. I'm paying attention to that.
Yeah.
When I go to the door, if you say, hey, Steve, does planting pretty flowers increase the value of your home? Okay, now I'm on.
Yeah.
That little thing is enough for me to say, gee, Ryan, are you planning on moving?
Yeah.
And you'll say, no, I was just curious. I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah.
You didn't ask me that random question for nothing.
Yeah.
So I need to ask more questions.
Yeah.
So now I'm on. Now it's not a friendly deal anymore, even though it is still friendly. But now I've got to find out where you're going.
Yeah.
And then now I'm going to say, sure, the statistics are 65% of the buying decision is made at the curb. So, a couple $100 worth of pretty flowers, does wonders to your house. So again, around where do you think, where you plan on moving to? And, a lot of times it's nothing, but then there's the times where it's, well, Mary's mom is getting a little old and I've got a job opportunity in Tennessee. And, oh, so you are planning on moving.
Exactly.
That's what I'm looking for, or if they tell me, I know, so-and-so sold for a house over there. Is that what everything's going for in the neighborhood? Yeah. And I'm going to take that and now I'm going to start asking questions and seeing if I can figure out get them to tell me where they're going. And most of the time, after 2 or 3 rounds of questions, they'll tell me, you know what, it's in the back of our mind. Okay, now you're on my list.
Yeah.
And there's no way off my list. Zero.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to put it that way, but I'm gonna be on you until we do business, or you do business with somebody else.
That's perfectly ties into my next question. I want to ask you is that what happens with your list? What happens when someone is even, there's a hint, like what are you doing past that initial conversation? Because again, I find a lot of agents struggle with that part. They can go out there, they can talk to people, and then they find someone who might be making a move, and then they drop the ball completely. So what are you doing from there on?
Make an appointment.
Okay.
If you tell me you're thinking about it, I'd be Ryan. When it sounds great. When are you thinking about doing this? It depends on what they say. I think my best one was a guy, Mr. LaFontaine. He lived on Penfield Street, and he told me, he says, I'm retiring in 1,071 days.
That's fine.
I write that down.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to show you. You'll laugh and see if I've got one here. This is what I do.
That's funny.
Picket fences. That's what I do. I've got my flyers in my hand. I fold one over so I don't mess up the flyers that I'm going to hand them. And I make my little picket fences on how many contacts I make.
Nice.
I know people use apps, but they slow me down.
Yeah,
so I make
100%. I did the same thing when I was in my door knocking days. I found that we tried switching to apps. We tried switching to, and it was so much easier to do exactly that. I had a scrap piece of paper, and I would just
make my how many contacts.
Yeah.
And then Ryan wants to sell. Okay, Ryan, what's your number so I can reach out to you? Blah blah blah. So when do you plan on moving? And when do you want to make this move to Tennessee? Oh, in a year. Oh, okay, so we got some time.
Yeah.
But then I'm going to say, well, when would you like me to come over so we can talk about things you should do and getting ready? Because half the time that year is only 2 months.
Right.
But if you said to me, well, we really want to be, in Tennessee by September, I'll be like, gosh, that's 4 months away. The average sale is now not anymore, but the average sale is 45 days and the average escrow is 30 to 45 days. So that's 60 to 90 days. September is 4 months. Sounds like, Ryan, we better get started pretty quick.
Yeah.
If you want to make it by September. So what day, when is a good time for us to meet? I mean, I'll take out my phone with phones now. Let's schedule a time.
Yeah.
I'll make an appointment right there on the doorstep.
Yes.
I mean, what else would you do? Somebody just told you they want to sell.
Yeah.
I'm making an appointment.
So if they aren't booking an appointment with you, are you doing anything to follow up with them after that, or you just put them back into the regular roster to follow
If
up
they tell me they want to move, but they won't book an appointment.
Yeah.
Why won't you book an appointment, Ryan? I mean, you want to move, you told me. So I want to help you get your house ready so that we can get the most money for it. Let's just schedule a time when I can take 5 minutes and walk through the house. And a lot of times they'll say, let's go.
Yeah.
Come on in. I'm going in the house.
That's awesome.
And it's so, and I know there was a technique there. I don't know. Have you heard of Daniel Penley?
No.
He was my first real estate trainer. We're still friends and that. And, Daniel always taught me, he taught, if you want to get in a house, his big thing was like for sale by owners and that, and he'd say, so, you cooperate with real estate, we're the real estate professionals, Ryan, only take me a few minutes, a brief moment to see enough of your home so I can tell prospective buyers about it. May I do that now? And you put your hand out, and you're like putting your hand in the house and you're already taking a step inside the door.
Yeah.
That hand is kind of a gesture of I'm coming in. And it's like, so I'm gonna get in the house.
Nice.
But I'm gonna do it in a very nice way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, it's like you need me to help you get to where you want to be in the time frame that you want to get there.
Yeah.
See, I'm not shy to ask for the business. I was taught you close quick and close often.
Yeah.
Use trial closes. Find out if what they really want. Do that. If they're ready to go, they're going to let you in. They're going to make an appointment. They're going to want to know what I know. Even if they're going to use somebody else, they're going to want to know what I know because I've sold so many homes in the neighborhood.
And I think that's a key part too, is that you've been doing it for so long that people know who you are and know that you know. So
Yeah.
when you do say, this is the advice, or here's the price, or here's the ideas, whatever, they can trust that, like you said, whether they list with you or not, by being that expert and that specialist in the community, that helps get in the door that much easier. If you were a cold person that no one's ever met, no one's ever talked to, they've never heard of you before, it might be a little trickier for agents. And that's why it does take some time to build the relationships, to build the name recognition, and then to build that trust with people. And that's part of it.
Time and consistency.
Mm.
They need to see you over and over and over and over again. And, and to do that, you gotta bring some value.
Yeah.
Maybe when you're just starting, you're going to use other people's sales in the area. I let people use my sales all the time. I mean, why not? I mean, it takes time to build this up and to get the trust of the people, to build up a reputation, and that it doesn't happen overnight. And that's why people don't do it.
Yeah.
That's why, trainers like Mike Ferry don't preach or teach farming, because he knows that it's going to take you 6 months, a year. You might get a listing your first month out, and then you think, rah, 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 I got this thing down, and you don't get another one for 24 months.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's a rough go.
Yeah.
But you got to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
And then you got to do it long enough. Jim Rohn always says, show up and stay a while.
Yep. 100%. That's what farming's about. And it's the consistency, and it's weathering through that time. And for now, the things I teach agents how to speed up that process. That's what I like to toot my own horn for teaching to do that. But it does take time. It takes a commitment. And again, most agents fail in that 3 to 6 months. And that's the most critical time, where the consistency over that first 3 to 6 months is what's going to set the bar and set the pace for you. And if you don't show up, or if you quit at that point, you've lost all that traction. You've lost all the work you put in, the time you put into it, and you can literally get nothing from it. But you were like just on the verge of getting that next deal, that first deal, and then it's wasted.
In my example, I'm a perfect example. It took me 10 months.
Yeah.
And in the 10th, and Joe, the owner of the company, kept telling me, okay, go get this pothole, get that. And he's like, and today the story goes, gosh, I was feeling really bad. I'm telling this kid to go out and buy all this stuff and spend all this money, and nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And he kept doing exactly what I told him.
Yeah.
He's like, oh God, what do I tell him next? And then I listed 15 homes in that 10th month.
Yeah.
And the rest was history.
Yeah.
And now it's a story to tell.
Yeah.
And the story is, you got to stay a while, because a lot of guys, they'll jump areas. Yep. That area's not working, so I'm going to try this area. Exactly. It's like, no, it's not the area, it's you.
Yeah, exactly.
And picking the area is very important. Don't go up against a guy like me or other guys, people who are dominating an area. There are other areas where nobody's working.
Yeah.
It's going to take way too much time, way too much energy, way too much money, because I'm spending $3,000 to $4,000 a month, $2,000 a month, $2,500 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, so, and I've been doing it forever. So, a lot of times they'll think you or me. I've been thanked for lots of things that other people have done.
Yeah.
So,
and it's like you said too, is it's not just, you have to be ready for it too. And that's where I find a lot of agents go in doing the right thing, but they're not in the right headspace. They're not in the right, they need to, their scripts have to get better. They're at the door and they're willing to do it. They're dropping off a flyer. They're sending out a postcard. They're doing internet leads or doing whatever. And it's like, they're not there mentally yet. And sometimes it takes some, you got to get beat down a bit. Sometimes you got to work through a bit of things. You got to get that courage up. You got to get the confidence. And then once you break through that, sometimes that's where that we really unlock the next level.
Real estate is, what did I want to say? It's a business where people come in and they think that, okay, I've got my real estate license now. People are going to throw some money at my feet.
Yeah.
And especially if you've only been in the business for 10, 12 years, you only know you list a house, it sells, and I get paid 30 days later.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when we used to take, 18-month listings.
Yeah.
And we used to, back in the early 90s, We had, 14, 15,000 homes in inventory, and it took a year to sell a house.
Wow.
And we used to have to give away trips and cars, and we used to do a 10K drawing. So every agent that showed it put their card in, and every month, or I don't remember how often, we'd have a drawing for $10,000.
Wow.
And I mean, it was like you had to bribe people to buy your listing.
Wow.
So if you've been in the business for 10 years or less, you don't know that.
Yeah.
And when things change and everything changes,
yep,
you're going to be like, oh, price reduction. What is this price reduction thing? Yeah. I mean, I've got to go talk to the seller about lowering their price. Well, they don't want to do that. Yeah. We just had a class in the office about a week ago. It was maybe 2.5 weeks ago on price reductions, because they're starting to happen.
Yeah.
And what do you say? Well, you really set that up, and this is getting off farming, but you set that up when you take the listing.
Yeah, 100%.
You need to set that seller's expectation of what's going to happen over the next month or 2 or 3. And what happens if we don't sell the house in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a week? I'm going to be back to ask you to reduce the price. And if you don't do it at that point, you may be afraid to go back and do it later on.
Yeah.
But if you do it at that point, you've already set the expectation. And some sellers will say, Steve, is it time to reduce the price? So no, let's give it 1 more week.
Yeah.
Or yes, let's reduce it.
Yeah.
Or they won't tell you what you're not doing, what you're supposed to do, because you're doing just what you told them.
Yeah.
And you set expectations right out of the gate.
Yeah, that's super important.
You need to do that for farming too. If you expect listings just because you show up at their door, I tell people, you know what? I'm not the guy they want at the door.
Yeah.
I know that. When I knock on their door, I'm not the guy that they're expecting. So just because I show up doesn't mean they want to sell.
Yep.
And sometimes they may get mad at you.
Yeah.
And it may not be you.
Yep.
It may be that they just had an argument with their kids, or they burnt dinner, or they got a speeding ticket, or they stubbed their toe. And you're the first person that shows up on the door and the easiest one to yell at.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't take that personally. Apologize for, just say, hey, sorry to bother you. Here's some neighborhood information. I'll see you soon, and go to the next door.
Yeah.
And the next day next time you come back, do go back. They may be very nice.
Yeah. I had that in my own. I had someone, and she swore at me, told me to F off. I called back later because I'd spoke with her husband before, and then she apologized and said, I'm sorry. She found out her husband ended up having cancer, just found out the day before, and she was not in a good mood. And it's like, had I taken that personally, and I listened to that and told her I would, she's mad at me, or I pissed her off or something. And it's like, no, it was her life was going on. And she actually thanked me for following up and saying, I feel so bad. I apologize. And we've been following up for a while now. They haven't sold yet because they're still figuring things out, but you can't take it personally. You have to just keep going through. One of the things I would say is that even just like going out door knocking for 1 day or a week, I said, you can never take a slice and make a judgment based on the outcome from 1 week or 1 day of doing anything, because you have to average it over time and then measure it. And I had one of the coaching clients I had a number of years ago. I got her to go door knocking for a week. I said, let's just go out, do a test. We're going to track it, test the numbers. And in the group she shared, it came back. And her first day, she had a couple good things happen, nothing serious. Second day, someone told her to F off and she got upset. Third day, someone got mad at her. Fourth day, she had a decent day. And then the fifth day, she got a listing appointment. And I said, right, if you would have stopped at day 2 or day 3 with that someone telling you to F off, I said, you could have said, it doesn't work, it's not good. I said, but it's that law of averages, and you got to keep doing it and then tweak and change too. But doing it for once or twice or trying it, you're not going to get the real results.
No. And you got to put it in perspective. Just like a seller, manage your expectations.
Yeah.
Every day I go out, I expect to get a listing. And every day I go out, I don't expect to get a listing. It's like, I'm going out to knock. And okay, so I view door knocking a little differently. So I get paid very well. So for me, I go out door knocking. It's good exercise.
Yeah.
I like to walk.
Yeah.
I get to meet mostly nice people.
Yeah.
And I get paid very well to do it.
Yep.
So when I go, those are my motivating factors. I'm getting exercise. I need that. You know, that at 62 years old, if you're not walking, if you're not exercising, you're getting fat, and things aren't going to work anymore.
Yeah.
The old lose it or lose it. So I make door knocking kind of a game for me. It's good exercise. I meet nice people, and I get paid very well to do it. And so it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Awesome.
And, I think if you put it in perspective, it's not that bad. Now, here's another one. It's, what is it now? It's 90 some degrees out here. It's, yeah, 90 degrees exactly right now. And it's only getting hotter this week. It's going to be pushing in 95 this week. That's hot.
Yes, it is.
And it'll be a couple months where it'll be 100 plus.
That's crazy.
I still knock in that.
Wow.
And people say to me, Steve, I said, are you crazy? You want a bottle of water? I'm wearing a hat and sunscreen. I smell like I'm at the beach, But when somebody says that to me, I say, then I take that and tell them, what type of agent do you want to work for you when the time comes? Somebody that goes out and beats the doors in 100 plus degrees, who works really hard and knows what he's doing, or a guy that's all watching the view. Awesome. I mean, you want a guy like me, a pit bull that doesn't give up, who's going to fight for you. Well, yeah, Steve, nobody works harder than you. I said, yes, that's true. Yeah. So, I mean, you got to know how to play this, and you have to be able to think. You got to be able to think on your feet. Words have to be part of your life.
So I want, from a numbers perspective, can you just share kind of what you've done? Because just to put it in perspective, because again, you mentioned how many doors have you knocked on? I know you've calculated, and how many sales have you gotten over the years?
I don't have an exact number, but I've sold plus or minus about 900 homes in my farm. I knock, my contact goal is 40 contacts a day.
Nice.
And I know I've, read your website, and, you spell a contact a certain way, and most people spell a contact the same way you do.
Yep.
Contact to me is somebody that says hello.
Yep. Answers
the door. So I'm looking for 40 people to answer the door during my door knocking. I average on a average between 15 and 18 doors open per hour.
Nice.
So it's about 3.5 hours to get that 40 contacts. It's probably somewhere between 120 and maybe 150-ish doors. I think the most I've done is 23 in an hour. And actually lately it's been fewer. So lately it's probably been 10 to 12 to 14. So that's my goal. So my goal, and I make it through the 3,600 homes in probably anywhere between 30 and 45 days.
Wow. And
then I just start back over again. And, there are times where if somebody tells me they want to sell, I hate the word stock, but I see Ryan's car's in the driveway, and Ryan hasn't been answering my phone call. So I'll park my car 3 doors away, and I'll knock, because I knock all the time. Nobody thinks, oh, you're just knocking on my door. I'll grab a stack of a couple hundred flyers, and I'll start 3 doors away, and I'll get to your door. Oh, Steve, I've been meaning to call you. Sorry, I didn't call you back. I've been busy. No problem, Ryan. It's, never too late to talk. I'll go to the next door, and then I'll go back to my car, because I accomplished what I wanted to do there.
That's awesome.
But my goal is to go 5 days a week. Do I miss days? Yeah. Every now and then something gets in the way.
Yep.
But to me, so my personal mindset, my belief is, if I knock, everything will be good. If I don't knock, everything will not be good.
Yep.
Deals will have trouble. The appraisals won't come in, blah, 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 blah. If I'm knocking, most everything will fall in place. And, I'm superstitious. Okay. So I truly believe that if I knock, things will be good.
That's good.
That's where my mindset is. If I knock, things will be good. If I'm not knocking, I'm going to probably have a bad day.
Yep. And it keeps you going, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So I got a couple more questions for you.
Yes.
Wrap up. The first one would be, what is your shoe budget? Because you must blow through a lot of shoes doing that much knocking. Because I know I wear my shoes out when I door knock. So how many pairs of shoes are you going through?
It took me a long time to get to the point where I wear tennis shoes.
Okay.
And I wear tennis shoes with a suit. I don't wear suits very often.
Yeah.
Because if I wear a suit in my farm, because I've had this discussion with Mike Ferry, you need to dress better. Well, if I wear a suit in my farm, people want to know if everything's okay.
Yeah.
You okay, Steve?
Yeah.
Why? Well, you're wearing a tie.
Yeah.
You know, I have these Park Regency shirts. I have 28 of them in black,
That's awesome.
and I think 12 or 14 in white.
Yeah.
And that's what I wear every day. I wear New Balance 1543s, and I do spend about $170 on a pair of tennis shoes. And I buy them 6 pair at a time, 2 black, awesome. 2 gray, and 2 blue gray.
Yeah.
And I wear, I don't wear the same pair 2 days in a row because they last longer.
Yep.
It's and I wear tennis shoes. I probably buy new tennis shoes every 4 months.
I knew it. I knew you'd have that. That's awesome. So from a value perspective, you mentioned that it's important to bring value. You mentioned the flyers and things like that. So what are you doing? What are you leaving at the door? What are you bringing to the door? What kind of information are you leaving for the people, or what are you bringing?
Right now, this is what I'm leaving.
Oh, wow. For everybody?
Yeah. Well,
wow.
and it's 2, it cuts in half.
Oh, okay. Yep.
That's 1.
Okay. Yep.
And the back side of it.
Yep.
So that's what I'm leaving. And typically it's a 6 photo flyer. Like I said, if you don't have any sales, use other people's sales.
Yep.
I have my own sales, and they're all in the neighborhoods that I knock. So yep. I do that. We have an in-house design deal. So I bring in the paper, and in 3-4 hours, Ken has 4,000 printed up for me.
That's awesome.
And I mail them. I mail them every month, and I knock them. So I'm typically telling them about my business.
Yep.
And then I sent you the video about my ice cream truck.
Yeah, that was the last thing I was going to wrap up with because it's a really neat, interesting take on this. Can you share that with our audience and what you do?
Sure. And we have an ice cream truck, and a lot of times I've got a flyer telling them, and again, this is 4 of them. This is a little flyer telling them I'm going to be coming out in the truck Saturday, afternoon. And a lot of times I don't use that anymore because if I pass the flyer out, I'm committed.
Right.
So if something happens, I can get away with not going. But it's like right now I'm taking it. I took it last Saturday, and I'm taking it tomorrow, the 15th, the 22nd, and the 25th of the month. I like to take it 3 to 5 so times a month. And I do when I talked about quadrants.
Yep.
I'll do a quadrant.
Yep. Okay.
5, 6, 7, 800 homes.
Yep.
It takes me 2.5 to 3.5 hours. I pass out big stick popsicles. No choices. 1 popsicle.
Yep.
You can have as many as you want, but there's only 1 type.
Okay.
It's a van that's wrapped. We own the van. It's our van.
Yep.
It's got a loudspeaker and says, come get your free ice cream from Stephen Green and Park Regency. And it's just on a continuous loop. And I drive down the street at, half a mile an hour. That's awesome. And, people come out and get a popsicle, and some just come out and get the popsicle, and some want to talk real estate.
That's awesome.
And the way I explain that is people who come out to the truck come out in a good mood. Now, has anybody ever yelled at me? Yes. Yes is the answer.
Giving away free.
It's like, oh, you're too loud. You're too this. It's false advertising. You said ice cream, but it's a popsicle. It's like, okay. Don't you have anything else? No, this is the free one.
Yeah.
Would you like the free one? Okay, there you go. See how easy that was?
Yeah.
So, company owns the truck, and, you got to have a driver's license to drive it. You got to have insurance, it's, you got to put gas in it. It's we just had, which talk about the truck. We just had some homeless drill the gas tank. They drilled a hole and stole they stole probably $40 worth of gas and cost $1,600 to put a new gas tank in. It's happened twice. So there's some some heartaches with it, but for the most part, it's a lot of fun. It's just another way of getting, and whether you do an ice cream truck or not. I know you talk about neighborhood events and that. You need to do things to differentiate yourself from the other guy.
100%.
And to get people to know who Stephen Green is, or who Ryan is, and then, that way, you want them. All I ask somebody is, when you think about selling, you call me and give me a chance.
Yeah.
If you list with somebody else, so be it. I can't get everyone. I just want to have a chance to get there and present, because I'm good. And I know that, and I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I know if I get an opportunity, I have a really good chance of getting it.
Yeah.
And if I don't get it, I move on very, very fast.
Which is important.
It's I liken that to I know you're in Canada. I don't know if you're into hockey or not, but
I'm birthplace of hockey. Come on.
I know. That's why I'm surprised how many people I thought in Canada. I don't like hockey. Like I've had season tickets to the Kings for 32 years.
Nice.
So, and I remember when the Kings won their first Stanley Cup in 2012, and Drew Doughty, you obviously know who that is. Okay. So Drew made a play and he coughed the puck up at the blue line and straight in for a goal against. The next time Drew was on the ice, he did the same darn play. He took it down and scored a goal. And his point was, he has a very short memory.
Yeah.
And I say you have to have a very short memory in real estate, because, when that happens, I call you and you say, gosh, Steve, you were our second choice, or you were our first choice, but we had to go with so-and-so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. In my mind, I'm telling you to go to hell.
Exactly.
To your face or on the phone, I'm telling you, if you ever need anything, Ryan, I'm here. I've got a story for you on that too, before if you got a moment.
Yeah.
So I had a sale listing that I had in escrow on Cozy Croft Street, and guy next door lists his house with somebody else. And I had mine in escrow, and I get a phone call. I was at the grocery store. So I answered the phone and he told me his name. I live next door to your listing. You're on Cozy Croft. Okay, great. Do you have a minute? Yes. I'm firing my agent. Would you consider listing my house?
Yeah.
Well, of course, what I do. So, I said on the phone, I said, do you mind telling me what happened? He says, well, I'll tell you when we meet. So I go to his house, and actually my son was with me. And he tells me that his agent said that Steve doesn't hold open houses, so he'll never sell that house. Ever. He'll never sell it because he doesn't hold open houses, and it's overpriced. He'll never get the money. I said, okay. I said, so just so we know we're on the same page, it's sold, and it's sold for $20,000 over list. Yeah. He says, how'd you do that? I said, well, I can show you. Yeah. So listed his place, and I said, do you mind telling me what happened? He says, well, your son's here, and I don't really want to say. And I said, he's a big boy. He's in college, So his agent hired a husband and wife team, and the husband held 4 open houses a week. And I knew that because I saw the signs. It was in my farm. I knocked doors, and 4 open houses a week.
Wow.
And I said, wow. He said he had a Ring doorbell. He said, and the husband at every open house had his girlfriend come by. And he was getting it on with the girlfriend on the front porch with the Ring doorbell videotaping him.
Wow.
I said, wow, that's a first. He said, so I went and talked to his manager.
Yeah.
And I said, I wanted the listing back. And the manager talked to him, and he said it wasn't true. And he said, well, can I show you a video?
Wow.
So it was true.
Yeah.
So I took the listing.
That's funny.
And I sold it. And the moral of that story is, don't ever take offense, because you never know what somebody's going to do to mess up their situation.
Yep.
And I don't mind being, I'd much rather be first, but being second is not so terrible either.
Yep.
So,
I would say so, the last one to sell, that's the only one I care about. So if I'm not
one that
first,
gets paid.
exactly.
Yeah. So, it's just a matter of, having a short memory.
Yep.
If you tell me I've listed, I'm going to ask you, have you signed? Yes, I've signed. Great. Best of luck.
Yeah.
I'm here, and I've told sellers, listen, if something comes up and you don't think is right, call me.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to talk to you. I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
I never take offense if they don't list. If I'm out in the ice cream truck and somebody's got somebody else's sign and they're looking, I'm like, come on over. It's a popsicle. It's 35 cents.
Yeah.
Come get a popsicle. Because I don't have anything against you.
Yeah.
I do enough business.
Yeah.
But maybe you won't be happy. And maybe you'll then call me.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you won't, maybe you'll tell the neighbor, hey, I didn't use Steve, really wanted to, but I had to use my wife's coworker. I would have used Steve. He'd have done a better job. I mean,
Exactly.
don't get too carried away.
Exactly. So we always wrap up with the best piece of advice. So what's one piece of advice you'd give our viewers if they're looking to get into it or not and looking to do that in their farming?
You got to get started. I hear all the time, I'm going to go when I learn the scripts. I'm going to go when I get a flyer. I'm going to go, just go.
Yeah.
Get a business card and go.
Exactly.
And don't think too much about it, because if you think too much about it, it's intimidating.
Yep.
And just go say hello. I don't know what to say. Hello. Hi. My name is, I work with, and I'm just coming by to say hi. I sell houses.
Yep.
I don't want to sell. Wonderful. My response to that, I don't want to sell. So great. I'm not looking to buy.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to carry me out in a pine box. I hope not too soon.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you can take this really serious, or you can carry on a conversation. Say, hi, my name is Stephen Green with Park Regency. Here's some information on the neighborhood. I don't want that. Oh, you don't want some really good information about your neighborhood? About what they sold? Okay, just leave it. Okay, wonderful. Thanks. Have a great day. Look forward to seeing you again real soon. I mean, just
super easy.
But go. Get the best advice is go and never stop going.
Yeah.
And along with that best advice, I have agents who here at Park Regency will say, well, I got to get back into it. So why'd you stop?
Yeah.
And even if you did stop, why are you telling your mind you stopped?
Yeah.
It's okay to take the day off or a week off. The owner of the company will say that's built into the plan.
Yeah.
If you knock every day for a year, you're entitled to take a day or two off.
Yeah.
That's built in.
Yeah.
But when you start telling yourself, I'm going to go tomorrow, I didn't go today, I'm going to go tomorrow. Now all of a sudden your mind is saying, I got to start over again. And it took 5 years to build this up, and I got to start over. I don't want to start over again.
Yeah.
Just go.
Yeah,
don't think too much, and don't stop.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, totally agree with that. It's consistency is the key, and just get going with it and keep rolling with it. So we always wrap up with the best book. So what's one book that had a big impact in your life, or you think would have an impact on our viewers' lives?
Would be Jim Rohn's The 5 Major Pieces of Civilized Puzzle. I
love that book. I have that in my library. It's awesome. Yep. One of the best books I've read. So
it's simple, and I think maybe after that would be any Jim Rohn book, but after that might be The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason.
Yeah, it's a great book as well. So we'll put that in the show notes for our viewers so they can check that out. And how can our viewers check out what you're up to, connect with you, and find out more about what you're doing?
Well, when you get done laughing, my email is my name, Stephen Green 4RE at AOL.com. Yes, I still use AOL. But I still have the same phone number I had 36 years ago.
That's nuts.
Because I'm not a secret agent.
Yep.
So my phone number is right there.
There, yeah.
Stephen, it's Stephen Green, and my number is 818-388-3045. And anybody's welcome to reach out. I've taken agents door knocking with me from other companies. I have no problem, teaching good agents, because I've got to work with other agents, and nothing beats working with a really top-notch, well-qualified, like-minded agent.
Yeah, I agree. So I really appreciate you being on the show, sharing your insight, your years of experience, and your wisdom, and the knowledge you've gained over the years, because it's important to really look back and see where you've come and where you're going. So thank you for sharing that with our audience. I know they're going to get a lot of this, and the agents that decide to go out and put door knocking to their business and make that part of their farm will have success. But like you said, you got to do it and stay consistent with it. So thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thanks for checking out today's episode. If you'd like more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our Facebook page and our other social media channels. Looking forward to bringing you more great content like this, and happy farming.